Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 8, which is entitled Questions by King Pariksit. And this morning we're doing verse number 7. Without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vajajana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Astotar Satisya Shivadi Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Astotar Satisya Shivadi Divine Grace Shri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Charya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Harimo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glory to the power of God. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamane. Namaste Krishna Banaya Prabhupada Siddharthane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tinamane Narayana Namaskritya Narum Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Udirayat Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sivaya Bhagavata Uttama Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my holy obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 7. Yadṛcchayā brahman dehārambho dhātubhiḥ yadṛcchayā hetunā bhavanto jānate yathā adhātu-mato brahman dehārambho dhātubhiḥ yadṛcchayā hetunā bhavanto jānate yathā adhātu-mato brahman dehārambho dhātubhiḥ yadṛcchayā hetunā bhavanto jānate yathā. Hare Krishna. Please stand.
adhātu-mato brahman dehārambho asya dhātubhiḥ yadṛcchayā hetunā vā bhavanto jānate yathā. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? All right, we'll do word for word. Yat, as it is. Adhātu-mato, without being materially constituted. Brahman, O learned brahmana. Deha, the material body. Adhārambho, the beginning of. Asya, of the living being. Dhātubhiḥ, by matter. yadṛcchayā, without cause, accidental. Hetunā, due to some cause. Either. Bhavanto, your good self. jānate, as you may know it. Yathā, so you inform me. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O learned brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this? For it is known to you. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Pariksit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic succession, but he is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions that may arise in the mind of a serious student must be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from a spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. From the Bhagavad Gita, as well as from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Pariksit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of the body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul, unlike the conditioned soul. The liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to change of bodies. How was the process first begun? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of a spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential for immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in devotional service like Maharaj Pariksit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all these inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures will not be able to answer all such relevant inquiries. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple Oma Gnati Mirandasya, Gana Gana Shalakaya, Chakshu Umilitam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manogistam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Shatarani. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. English translation again. O learned brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? Hare Krishna. Very important question, especially for those of us sitting temporarily in the material world. By the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, we are here temporarily. Everybody's body will vanish after a while, but it does not mean they leave the material world. They can take on another body, and Srila Prabhupada answered a very important question, which I'll get to, very much connected to this. A disciple of his asked him. His name is Amoga Prabhu. So, very important question about this life, this material life that we're leading. It is temporary for us because once anyone gets on the path of Krishna consciousness, having faith in Krishna, their time in the material world is almost coming to an end. They may have a few more lifetimes, or just that one life, as soon as they come to Krishna consciousness. All depends on how seriously they take the process and how convinced they are about the need to get out of the material world. It depends on that. When someone is still attached to some things, the material energy, and likes those things, then they'll take another body, even if they are, believing in Krishna, they'll take another body. And Krishna will help that person to in the next life come closer and closer to the Lord until it gets to the point where the Lord is satisfied with the effort put in by that particular devotee, and then that devotee can go back to Godhead. So that's the way it is for us. So definitely our time is temporary. But there are some that they can swear by everything that can be sworn upon that their solution to life lays in their own hands. To life in the material world. They tolerate everything that happens, all the warning signs. And we hear them practically one day after another. Somewhere in the world, there's always warning signs. Either an earthquake, which happened not too long ago in Russia, tsunami following that, floods in Texas, plane crashes in India, plane crashes in Russia, on and on and on and on and on. It is not safe here. But if we're in delusion, those who are delusion think, we'll stay here. Even more delusion are the people who think that this is the only life. After this, there's no other life. They are the most uneducated about this because there's so many phenomena in this material world that they cannot explain because they think life is only one time. So anyway, and the funny thing is their own spiritual books indicate that there's more than one life. A person takes another body. But examples in there, people have been named, they have gone, they have come back. Still, they don't get it. So that's their situation. Therefore, then they remain as eternally conditioned, only going after the heavenly planets. And then based on what they do, they come down to another situation in the medium planets, like the Earth planet we're on now. And then if they do things in the mode of ignorance, horrible things, then they go down to the hellish planets, and spend some time there, and then they are born in a non-human type body, and this goes on and on and on. So 8,400,000. It's called take your pick. So many bodies are there, all with different lifetimes. And the ages also change. Satya Yuga, then Treta Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, then Kali Yuga, then Satya Yuga, then Treta Yuga, then Kali Yuga, like that, on and on and on and on and on and on, until Mahavishnu breathes in, and the entire thing is wound up. All the universes go back into his force, into an unmanifested stage. That's called a pradhan. And time is also stopped then, material time. There's no material anything to have events marked by time. At that time, everything is inside the body of Mahavishnu, who himself is an incarnation of a Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Lord Brahma says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. The Param controller, the supreme controller. Nobody is at the level of Krishna. Nobody. So some people are going around saying all kinds of things about other demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma. They are not at that level of Lord Vishnu, who himself is incarnation of Krishna. It is actually an offense to think that the holy name of Lord Vishnu is that same level as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. It is also an offense to think that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are independent of Lord Vishnu. Everyone is dependent on Lord Vishnu. So nobody is at the level of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, O learned brahmana, meaning Shukadeva Goswami. So this is Maharaj Pariksit speaking. He says the transcendental spirit soul. I'm glad that's the whole division, the description. The soul is transcendental. The soul is not material. So it is different from the material body. So how does the soul acquire the material body? Accidentally or by some cause? Then he says, please explain this. So I was saying that in some morning walk, there was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada called Amoga Prabhu that asked a question similar to this. I heard the recording of it. So Srila Prabhupada, he says, so when the spirit soul falls from the spiritual world for the first time, they leave the spiritual world and they come to the material world. Do they go to, or did they take the body, which is the lowest of the 8,400,000 species? That would be a body in the aquatics, in the waters. Did they take that kind of body, or does the soul occupy a body that's somewhere in the top, towards the top, or the middle, or anywhere? So I was all ears wanting to see what the Prabhupada would respond to. He said, it's according to desire. It's according to desire. So that is the answer. Does the spirit soul acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? The answer is according to the Prabhupada, according to the desire of the person. And then he followed by saying that in the beginning, and I'll quote him directly, the soul is not so fall down. That's how he put it. My spiritual master, Bhakti Maharaj, has already explained the same way in his own words. He said that in the beginning, the spirit soul doesn't fall so low, which means in the beginning, many of the souls that come from the spiritual world occupy demigod bodies in heavenly planets. They want to enjoy and be in control. Supreme Personality of Godhead is a supreme controller. But the spirit soul wants to be in control and is envious because of all the attention that Krishna gets in the spiritual world, or Lord Narayan gets as king in the spiritual world. Therefore, they are put into this kind of place to do two things. One, this place is jail. Two, they want to be controller, so they can be controller here. in this jail. Because the supreme controller in the spiritual world is Krishna. The supreme controller everywhere is Krishna. So we can't take his position. So even when we're in the material world, still Krishna is the supreme controller. But we have some small amount of independence. So we can exercise that. Krishna doesn't push us. The Lord in our heart, Paramatma, does not push us. We do what we want to do, because that's what we want to do. We don't want to serve Krishna and live happily in the spiritual world. The most extreme of happiness that anybody can ever get is in the spiritual world. So it's based on desire. And the reason there's further degradation by taking other kinds of bodies, material bodies, is based on the very thing that the spirit soul wanted to be. They wanted to be controller. The fact is, if even two souls wanting to be controllers wind up in the same area in the material world, what's going to happen? They want to be controller. So person A wants to be controller, person B wants to be controller. So they're going to fight to see who will win. Or sometimes it's just what's present in the planet that they're on, the material nature they want to acquire for themselves. This person wants this gold, that person wants the same gold, and they fight. As Srila Prabhupada was talking about the same, I think it is the same morning walk. They asked him, the disciples asked him, so who's going to be king here? The way, and Srila Prabhupada had explained to a certain point the Shastra, and therefore this question came up. Evam param param praptam. Imam Rajashuvidu. He quoted that. The devotee still wanted to ask some more questions. So who will become king then? The Prabhupada said, nobody will become king. Everybody would think they want to be king. And they fight. Then right after that, Prabhupada says, everybody is a dog. And they're simply barking. And the first time I heard that, I thought that Prabhupada was just kind of trying to put down these people who want control. I'm talking about the leaders of the nation that want control. But then they thought about it and said, yeah, everybody's barking. I want this, I want this, I want this. Barking at each other. This is what's going on. Sophisticated barking is what's going on in the world now. I don't have to name names. 3 main countries vying for power. One says, I have the power. The other one says, I'm the most powerful. This is going on. And trying to acquire more land as if the land belongs to us. And Mother Bhumi in the Shastra, he's laughing at all of these leaders of the different countries. He says, look at them. They're fighting each and killing each other for a piece of my body. Land, a piece of my body. They give themselves grief. So that is the situation here. Maharaj Pariksit is inquiring. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that Maharaj Pariksit is a typical devotee, not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji, but he's still more interested to establish the philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. The most important philosophical basis for Srimad Bhagavatam it's also in Bhagavad Gita and in Brahma Samhita. You got to understand Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And we've heard this so many times, but then sometimes people go out, devotees, they hear other things. You might get in a place, somebody might try to convince you very much that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, they're all at the same level. Wrong. They're not. Lord Brahma is dependent on Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is dependent on Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is going to be here in the material world until the time for the destruction of the material world comes about, because he is the one tasked or given the task of destroying, the annihilation. Then this Lord Shiva can go back to Godhead. Same thing, Lord Brahma, at the end of his life, 311 trillion years and 40 billion years, he also will leave the body. And the Lord Brahma of this particular universe will also go to Vaikuntha. That is the situation. They are dependent on Lord Narayan. They are dependent on Lord Krishna. Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, they are incarnations of Krishna. Same power is there. So that is the situation. Don't let anybody convince you that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are at the same level. They are very, very, very submitted devotees to the Lord. And they are powerful representatives of different aspects of the Lord, as we talked about Lord Shiva. And he's the one given the task of the annihilation, the universe. So they're not at the level of Krishna. They are at a high level, but not at the level. The highest is occupied only by Krishna. So a person on the path of devotional service may inquire from the spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. So we talked about God, Krishna. Living beings are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult for the understanding of this statement to come out. But if we can take it very simplistically, if we look at it from the standpoint of the spirit soul, the standpoint of the spirit soul, the definition in the Shastra is we as spirit souls are part and parcel of Krishna. We are part and parcel of the Lord. So the Lord is not part and parcel of us. We are part and parcel of the Lord. Just take money for an example. The dollar and the cent is all money. The cent is part and parcel of a dollar. But the dollar is not part and parcel of a cent. Which means $1, if you have a dollar, you have a good 100 cents. Part and parcel. Each one is part and parcel of the dollar. But the dollar is not part and parcel of the cent. So the Lord says, all beings are in me. The soul is part and parcel of the Lord. And he says, I'm not in them. As far as the Paramatma, that's mercy being given by the Lord out of his love for us. That incarnation is just to help us. As is explained in this particular text, in the purport part, Srila Prabhupada explains that the liberated living beings who are associated with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. So the living being is spiritually whole there's no difference between the body and the soul. This is for the Lord. Let me just read that so that nobody gets confused. Indirectly, it's confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no changes, goes through no changes, does not go through any changes of material body. He is spiritually whole with no difference between his body and his soul. Not like the conditioned soul that is the soul is actually in the heart of that physical body. The liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to change of bodies. So this is the situation for us. The Lord, he is the supreme soul. And we are tiny spirit soul, spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Everybody that is fixed in devotional service, just like Maharaj Pariksit, they should still inquire from the realized spiritual master. Even if they advanced, by all counts, they still should inquire from the spiritual master. Why? Because Krishna is unlimited. Whatever we think that we've gotten to know, a million bits and pieces about the Supreme Personality of Godhead's nature, we should still inquire because Krishna is infinite. So there's always something to know about him. And the wonderful thing is that once you know more, the more you get to know about Krishna, the more fascinated one will be about Krishna. If you have faith in him, you will also be fascinated about his personality, about his activities, and about his mercy. His love and mercy are tremendous. So much so that people who defied him, souls who defied him, who are in the material world, that is us, still he comes a part incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Super Soul, comes to be with us in the jail. Comes to be with us in the jail. That is mercy given to the Lord, to the conditioned soul by the Lord. So one should inquire from the spiritual master. Spiritual master is loaded by the mercy of the Lord with so much that can explain. Spiritual masters are connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the disciplic succession. And when they speak, what comes out of their mouth always helps the disciple, all devotees. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, which is entitled Transcendental Knowledge, text 34, Tat Paripanipatena Paripashnena Sevaya. Upadeshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva dashina. Krishna is saying, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively, and then render service unto him. Learn the truth. Krishna is absolute truth. And the spiritual master's business is to spread the truth about Krishna, to excite devotees, to reconnect with the original nature and go back home. So learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Sometimes if the spiritual master is not there, then one who is also trained by the spiritual master can reveal the same truth to the devotees, as long as they do not contaminate it with anything else. This is why we spent time this morning talking about the fact that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are not at the same level as Lord Vishnu. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. So inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. Now, in that particular sentence, inquiring from him submissively and rendering service unto him, that is a statement that's practically spiritual counseling when you think about it. Inquiring from him submissively. So we were going against Krishna in the spiritual world, and that's why we got put here. So we are learning how to understand our position as minute and Krishna as the greatest. And the minute in front of the greatest, that minute personality has to submit themselves, has to humble themselves. So the spiritual master being the representative of Krishna, we are practicing when we humble ourselves in front of the spiritual master. So that is one big advice. Render service unto him. We are to render service to Krishna in the spiritual world. Be the servant of a servant of a servant of a servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so the practice here, rendering service to the representative of Krishna, the Guru, means we're being trained to be open back in the spiritual world to render service to Krishna. We didn't want to. We wanted Krishna's position. Now we're being trained by Krishna giving us his representative and say, practice how to surrender, to render service to him. Whatever he asks for, you do. Spiritual master himself is bona fide. He should stay bona fide. Out of that, apart from that, whatever he asks, we do. Then if we do that, then whatever Krishna would ask will be like those in the spiritual world. They never turn anything down. They go out of their way to do more than even Krishna expects from them. The gopis especially. They're like that. The self-realized soul, the guru, can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. They see the truth with the eyes of the Shastra, and they're very, very much awake internally also, especially the souls. The spiritual master is totally convinced about Krishna, so they speak with conviction, and they speak the words that Krishna gives to them to speak. There's a transmission of knowledge. There's transmission of answers to the inquiries by the disciple or the devotee. Spiritual master Srila Prabhupada is saying that the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. That's why the Lord is advising us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession beginning from himself. So, religion, the words of a Shastra are from the Lord. Dharmantisaksha Bhagavad Panitam. So, mental speculators, dry arguments, they can't help one to the right path. For us, it's very simple. Stay with the books of knowledge by Srila Prabhupada. Then you're getting the information in the right way. Srimad Bhagavatam especially gives such detailed information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yesterday, we were talking about part of Canto 11, Chapter 7. The realizations and then the total freedom of the avadut Brahman. And we talked about the first one being the earth, the steadiness of the earth, not getting bothered by aggressors, because the aggressors are to be, in the simple word, like a knife. If a knife cuts, we don't blame the knife. Something must have happened. So sometimes when we go through challenges, why did this happen to me? Why did this all of a sudden happen to me? And we have all kinds of trouble trying to understand that. But we have to remember one thing. There are sinful reactions that we've been involved in for many, many, many lifetimes, some of which we have already gotten the reactions to it, and some of it which we haven't yet. So if something happened in my life 30 lifetimes ago, I did something negative, and now Krishna is going to give me some token punishment in this lifetime, how in the world am I going to remember that I did it 30 lifetimes ago? How am I going to remember that? Never mind remembering 30 lifetimes. What about just the previous life? We won't know. So one thing that we need to understand is that there are no accidents. These things happen. We tolerate, we go on. That's why it says, Chaitanya himself says, one should be humbler than a blade of grass. One should be more tolerant than a tree. One should be devoid of all false prestige, false ego, and should be ready to serve others without expecting any service from them. Don't expect. Expect means you're trying to control. I want things this way according to what I want you should do. No. You and I should just concentrate on how to serve others, not concentrate on what service I'm going to get from others. No. To show love, as is said in the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamita, we give gifts. We shouldn't concern ourselves about what gifts I'm going to get. Many, many, many times it says, my birthday is coming up. My birthday is coming up, therefore I expect some gifts. Now, if we think that way, we're still quite immature. Sorry, truth be told. If we still expect some things in the birthdays, then we are attached to the material energy. So my birthday is coming up. If I get something, fine. If I don't get anything, we go on. What's the most important thing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. And needless to say, that mantra does not depend on anybody's birthday. We're trying to get out of the material world, not put priority in counting how many times or how many years we've been on this earth. Not important. It's not important. There's celebration using the birthday to show how we care about each other in the family situation. That's all right. Because showing how we care about each other is always good. But we shouldn't expect that something wonderful is going to be done. The wonderful thing has already been done. Our souls have been awakened. That's why we chant the Hare Krishna mantra. There is no gift in this material world that comes even to the level of knowledge and use and the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Nothing comes close. So we already have a huge gift by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. So there is one more point about the avadut Brahman's realizations. So a learned sage, the next one, should take satisfaction in the simple maintenance of his existence and should not seek satisfaction through gratifying the material senses. Sense gratification should be minimized. In other words, one should take care of the material body in such a way that the higher knowledge is not destroyed or not compromised, especially our time. I'm so busy, I don't have any time for spiritual life. We should set up our life in such a way that our speech, our thinking, and our activities are not deviated from self-realization. So, Abdul Brahman is explained, even a transcendentalist is surrounded by all kinds of innumerable material objects in the material world. Some of them possess good qualities, some of them are bad. But the person who has transcended the material good, the modes, good and evil, should not become entangled even when in contact with these material objects. But he should act like what? The next one that the avadut Brahman was in contact with and getting realizations from, the wind. A self-realized soul may live in various material bodies in this world while serving, experiences the various qualities and functions, but he's never entangled, just like the wind which carries various aromas does not actually mix with them. It seems like they are mixing, they are using things that are material, but the learned sage, the self-realized soul, knows that they are only using it to serve the Lord and his devotees. And they are only taking what is necessary for material life and no more than that. Sri Upanishad also says that everyone has a quota. So based on our karma, we won't get any more than what the quota is. We won't. You can struggle all we want, but we won't get any more than the karmic situation in this life dictates that we get. That's why there's no point struggling or over-endeavoring for material things, because the karma limits us. If we are supposed to get more things from the material energy, it would not take huge effort to get there. If we're not supposed to, based on our karmic situation, which blocks it, we can try till the cows come home, we won't get anywhere. But what is the most important thing anyway? How to get out of this jail. So that we give priority to. Spiritual life does not come on the karma at all. So some things will happen to us, and we shouldn't spend too much time, especially if it's a reversal or a negative thing, being concerned about it. Because, for example, Dhritarashtra was born blind. He became the king of Hastinapur, but he was born blind. And was so much material, commodities, everything was there. Wealth. He was living in wealth. Dhritarashtra could not see. He was blind from birth. So then he asked Krishna, how come I was born blind? Hmm? Krishna says, 50. Now think about this. 50 lifetimes back. You did something which you are now being punished for. And that is the important thing. So if something has happened to me because of something that I did 30 lifetimes ago, I wouldn't remember now. But because Krishna knows past, present, and future, when the Dhritarashtra asked, he said, yeah, it's 50 lifetimes ago when you were a hunter and you shot an arrow that had fire on the tip, a flaming arrow, into a bird, just target practice, into a nest of birds. The little birds were 100 of them total. And the mother bird was also in the nest at the time. The fire burned the nest. The mother bird flew away, but the mother bird was affected by the flames and she got blind. The 100 birds, little birds, had not learned how to fly. They died. This is what happened. So Krishna told Dhritarashtra 50 lifetimes ago, this soul that's in this body now did that in the body of a hunter. And so now your situation is such that lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, in the subsequent lives after you did this as a hunter, you had to pay back because the 100 birds got killed, little birds, mercilessly. So you have to have 100 offspring for them to also be killed. And it took a while for the situation to happen for him to be the father of 100 offspring who were killed, just like he, the hunter, one hunter, killed 100 birds. So in the war in Kurukshetra, only one Pandava, Bhima, killed all 100 of the sons of Dhritarashtra also. But Krishna explained. So these things that are reversals when they happen in our lives, let's just see the lessons that we have to learn from them. And if we don't, that's all right. It may be something in the past that we're getting a little token punishment for. This is just the way material life is. The physical body, even if we don't go through any kind of situation, it's going to get old and it will give its own problems. So the wind uses or carries all kinds of things. It has functions, but the wind actually does not mix with them. So we are to use material things to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we shouldn't be attached to material things. As Vishnu Gadappu was talking about yesterday, that the less entangled we are, the better. And the way to be less entangled is to give more. The grihastas, you give more in charity. Nobody should say, and Maya does that, is so expert in doing that. Oh, I don't have much money. I don't have much money. The people should be pity me. I'm in a pitiful situation. I can't provide much. But you pay all your bills, though. When it comes to giving to Krishna, I don't have much. I don't have much. I cannot give. No, the consciousness should be give to Krishna first. The thing is, the advantage to giving to Krishna first, it says, the extent to which we surrender, he says, I will reward accordingly. He rewards accordingly. But when we surrender, though, if we surrender what is in our possession, part of it to Krishna, then he rewards accordingly. In the meantime, some things that have happened in the previous lives, we will get some token things, reactions from them. Token reactions from them. So reversals or things that are difficult when they come into our lives, we shouldn't be too worried about it. Because I was saying, listen, some years back, I did not know. and somebody bothers me, does something that I can't believe they'll do something, especially devotees. They ought to know better than do something like that. Hmm? But we also have to be careful. Even if we think like that, we should, as soon as possible, disconnect from that thought. Because if we keep it in, it's going to make us sick. If we keep it in for years, guaranteed we'll be sick. We'll have a serious disease on our hands because negative thoughts contaminate the body. Negative thoughts contaminate the body. Positive thoughts give health. Bhakti Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, demonstrated that in Vrindavan in front of a group of devotees, at least almost 200 in the hall in Vrindavan. He called for a volunteer. Now, if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will, but we'll go through it. He called for a volunteer, anyone in the audience. So one devotee came up to the stage. And then he had him stretch his hand out, not to the side of him, both hands, left, right, stretched out, the arms stretched out. And he held one arm. Now, he told the audience, the devotees, look at this guy. Think all kinds of negative things that you can come up with. Make it up, but think negatively of him. Project all this negativity on this particular devotee. So, of course, you don't have to say it. Just think that way. And then Bhakti Maharaj tried to press down on one of the arms of this guy, which are stretched arms. He tried to press down from the hand, pushing it down. And he did it easily while the devotees were thinking negative things. He did it, Maharaj did it easily. He said, all right, now stretch your arms again. So he did. This time he told the audience, think all kinds of loving, positive thoughts about this devotee. So he started. And Bhakti Maharaj did the same thing, tried to push down. And we all saw it. I was in the room. He could not push down the guy's arm. He couldn't. When the devotees were thinking positively about him. So if you don't think that thoughts affect us, think again. They do. Just by thinking negatively, but 200 people thinking negatively of you, it's going to bombard you. Those thoughts really, really, really have power. So that's why he was overpowered easily by Bhakti Maharaj. And then when they thought negatively, my Guru Maharaj could not push down the guy's arm. So it's on us. After we hear, what do? Don't think negatively. Things come, they go. Everything is temporary. They'll come, they'll go. Don't mix with it. Just like the wind. It carries things to different places, but it's not a part of it directly. Its composition never changes. That's why I say it doesn't mix, because its composition doesn't change. It's the same mixture of gases that's in the wind. So, little by little, Srimad Bhagavatam will give us wisdom that we need for our lives. Through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for coming on and listening. And this is the time now. If you have some realizations and you want to share those, you can. If you ask questions, you can. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments from anyone? All right. I'm not hearing anything now. So, and let me just see. There's nothing in the chat. So, all right. So basically things that have happened, there are no mistakes. Why did this happen to me? There are no, Krishna doesn't make any mistakes. So, Damanapa Jai, please step on the basis, all glory to the Prabhupada. Please unmute yourself and comment or ask a question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. It was a very nice class.
It's just mercy.
A lot of points again to think on, like constant reminders that we will keep on going through different bodies till we don't go back to Godhead. It's like that was one point, and
Mm.
even like Brahma has to, like, uh, keep on going through lives, and then the last point, like how Bhakti Tirth Maharaj was, did that practical example, like how it
Mm.
really, how our thought affects the other person.
Yeah.
So yeah, those things are really like an awakening that we should really like watch our thoughts. That was my
Yeah.
takeaway. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. And I like the way you ended it. Watch our thoughts. Actually, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also quoted that. Says, watch our thoughts. Hmm? Our thoughts will become our words. Watch our words. Our words become our actions. Hmm? Watch our actions. Because a group of people doing the same thing, actions, after a while, it becomes a culture of the society. This is why things are being degraded, especially in this country. It's undergoing degradation because people are thinking negative things. People are thinking things that are not moral, but there's free speech, therefore they start talking about those. And if enough people talk about those, then it gets to the point where that deviation is now accepted as part of life. Some people may reject it and say, well, I'm not going to live that way. But then some people are living that way. Hmm? And they're trying to push that. Hmm? It's got to the point where even in this Congress, there was a meeting, I saw a little bit of it, that one person was asked to define what a woman is. Now, how difficult is it to define a woman? Hmm? And this person could not define a woman because that person was open to those who are mutilating their genitals, trying to be like a woman when in fact they were born a man. And he's trying to accept that. And therefore it says, well, who's a woman? He cannot describe what a woman is. Maya parita jnana. That's why it's in the Shastra. Everywhere. Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam will tell you. Namon diskritin muda prapadyante naradama. Maya parita jnana asuri bhava ashita. That is why it's there. Hmm? People who have become rascals can't even define what a woman is. Hmm? So then those people are the lowest of mankind. Naradama. Hmm? Maya Paritagyana. That we have to be very careful. Maya can steal our intelligence. That person's intelligence was stolen even to the point where, because he is supporting this kind of change, actually, it was a woman supporting this kind of change, she can't even define what a woman is. You talk about somebody whose intelligence is gone. Anyway, this is happening in the material energy. So this is no place to stay. I see the Papa said this material world is no place for a gentleman or a lady. So let's go back to Godhead because there's wonderful things there, and especially sanity. Here, people are acting more and more and more insane. More and more and more and more insane. It's incredible. This is Kali Yuga. It's getting worse. So that's the way it's going to be. So we chant and get out. Four things we have to do. Chant, hear, which is good. You come to hear. Hear the Shastra to apply in your life. Chant the holy name. Serve, devotional service, whatever your propensity is or whatever is available to do the service, and also don't offend anyone. Hear. If you hear, you're going to hear what Shastra is about. So you obviously will be told you have to obey the four regulative principles. That's in the hearing and applying. Chant the holy name, that takes us back to Godhead and also develops love of Krishna. Chant, hear, serve. There are 7 other ways to serve apart from hearing and chanting. So there's 9 ways total. And then don't offend, because if you offend, you won't be allowed back to spiritual world. That's it. So remember these four, and you'll be fine. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? All right. If not, then thank you for coming on. This is the weekend. Hopefully, in the Sunday, we come to wherever you are, your temple, for the Sunday night program. See the Prabhupada said everywhere around the world, we have a nice program in the temples on Sunday afternoons, hearing and joining the Sankirtan and in the Kirtan of the Lord, Hare Krishna, and Prasadam. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious weekend. Hare Krishna.